So now we're going to look into the future a little bit with the Orlando real estate trends for 2025. This year has been a little bit of a softer market across the country. I think you guys have been feeling that no matter where you live. So things have slowed down a little bit, you know, from 2 years ago when everything was crazy town and people were giving away their kids for houses and it was bananas. So the market has kind of stabilized and it's been a yin and a yang, and markets always do that. But what I will tell you is real estate always goes up over time. If you look at it over a 10-year period. Right now we're coming out of a situation where we have a slower market. Historically, every single year after an election, real estate prices have increased. There's only 2 times in history that is not true, and that was after the crash of 2008 and then right after COVID recently. Other than that, optimism increased. People come out, they start buying things after elections. Also, the feds are expected to drop interest rates. It's not happening as fast as everybody would like it to happen, and also not as fast as predicted. There's so much that goes into this. There's so much about the timing, execution, and external factors that are unpredictable that affect these things. Got higher jobs numbers than we expected, so they pulled back a little bit. However, interest rates are not anticipated to rise. They are anticipated to continue to fall, and the question mark is just how soon that's going to happen. Interest rates are predicted by all the experts to not really go below 5% again for the foreseeable future. And that's because the US has so much debt. I won't get into the economics of that, but that's what all the experts do agree on. But they are arguing over exactly which piece it's going to be. So as Americans, we have to accept the market where it is now. Historically, we've had, back in the 1980s, 20% interest rates at the heights. We're still at historical lows. We're just not at the recent historical lows. Right after the 2008 crash is when we had ridiculously low interest rates. We got used to 3%, 4%, but something between 5 and 6% is not that bad in the big scheme of things, especially for a 30-year mortgage or something for longer. It's still on the lower end, and it's not anticipated to go below that. Prices will adjust accordingly. Buyers will start coming out of the woodworks. People are still moving to Orlando. The inventory for builders came a little bit stagnated. They stopped building this year for a little bit, but now they're starting to build again. They're starting to produce homes again. In addition to all of the new construction, new shops, restaurants, bars, activities that are going up all over Central Florida as we speak. There's a huge park opening next year, and this is going to be Universal's Epic Universe that is scheduled to open in May 2025. So that itself is going to draw tons of visitors here. It's great for the short-term rental market. So for the short-term rental market, we have had a more soft year than usual this past year. However, bookings are already starting to pick up. And all the rental managers that I've been talking to have been getting rentals now booked out from November all the way through March. So that's really exciting. It sounds like we're getting back to some kind of normal trends in the Orlando market and normal cyclical seasonal things. We had a little bit of whiplash from COVID. After COVID, everybody traveled here because there was nothing open. So everybody came here. So normally we had about 100 million visitors, and it was just 30% higher that year. Then the next year we had people going to other places, and so it was a little bit of a whiplash effect in my opinion. And now we're starting to see international travel finally come back, and also normal travel. And obviously with opening new parks like Epic Universe, that's also going to be a huge draw. So the short-term rental market is still strong here. There are other communities that are being built short-term rentals. There is more inventory per se of short-term rentals. So just make sure that you're following all of the characteristics in your home to make yourself be successful for short-term rentals. So check out our other video on that for more information. So Orlando has a huge opportunity for growth. Horizon West is growing like crazy. Claremont is getting ready for the Olympus project, and that has been growing with the places like the Salt Shack opening and just continued development and people flocking to that area. So there's a huge potential for investors here for living here, second home, but also long-term rentals. And what we have been seeing is people moving here from other countries, other states. They're not sure exactly where they want to buy yet because there's so many options now that are popping up. They want to explore. So we're seeing a lot of influx of long-term rentals that want to rent for a year and then figure out where they want to put their fork down. Other things that have opened recently in Orlando is Terminal C at the Orlando International Airport, which is the international terminal, which is attracting a lot of foreign airlines to Orlando. Another thing that's been really exciting that I'm a frequent traveler on is the Brightline train that connects South Florida to Central Florida. They're also building tracks out all the way to Tampa, and they're adding new stops. They've added one in Boca Raton, and they're adding one in Cocoa. That's going to be opening next year, I believe, if not 2026. But that creates a whole slew of people that can travel really quickly in between different areas in the state in a way that we didn't have before. So that's also creating an influx of interest in Central Florida. The outlook for Orlando is very strong. And as I said in the beginning, markets are cyclical. They're always going to ebb and flow. However, over a 10-year period, they go up over time. Orlando has experienced high rises in property values over the last few years. Even though this year it has been slower, it still has gone up 1.9%. So we're still trending upward, just not with the crazy high numbers that we've had over the last few years, but that's expected to stabilize, and also more buyers coming into the market for 2025. That should be a great year for real estate in Orlando. For all the reasons I just mentioned, and because Florida is one of the few states that doesn't have a state income tax, Central Florida and Florida is expected to continue to increase its population. People are still going to be moving here. The builders are constructing things everywhere, specifically in Central Florida. New restaurants, new communities, new jobs on the Space Coast and places like Titusville, where you have NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Lockheed Martin, and all the other manufacturers out there. So it's just going to continue to be a flock for people, not to mention our great weather that we have year round. If you want some specific information about areas that you're particularly interested in, feel free to reach out and we can send you market data for your exact cities and exact counties.